morning, good evening. Hello, everyone from whichever part you're joining us from. So, thank you so much for joining this live session. And we are talking about something that is very vital, which is the global refugee crisis and housing, because accommodation has always been a very important topic. Accommodation and shelter, which makes up part of the United Nations global rights, social, economic, and political rights, and other rights in the Bill of Rights, which we have, governing individual nations' attitude and actions towards humans and human rights globally. So thank you so much. I have with me today Mr. Kaif Ali Khan. I hope I pronounced it right. Right,
Absolutely,
guys?
absolutely. It is correct.
So he is one of the top 50 finalists of the Check.org Global Student Prize 2021. He's a social innovator who is working around sustainable housing and eco-friendly housing across Europe. Kev, please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you do so that our audience can know you. Thank you.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you for providing me this opportunity and sharing my views and all about what I'm doing regarding the innovations and in the field of youth leadership, in the field of sustainability, in the field of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So, hi everyone who all are present. I am Kaif Ali. I am 21-year-old fresher architect pursuing my architecture from Delhi, India, and I'm a founder of housing solutions startup called Space Era that we provide a sustainable housing solution and innovative strategies towards affordable and temporary housing solutions. So yeah, I'm I'm looking forward to share my views and what all I'm doing regarding my past years and how Global Student Prize have recognized me and several other multilateral bodies, United Nations, Commonwealth nations, how the contribution has a great impact throughout the world.
Thank you so much, Kev. So the truth is, the reality of accommodation and housing right now in the global space calls for serious conversation and then collaboration. Right, some days ago was the United Nations Global Refugee Days, and there was a lot of spotlight on refugee issues, human rights, internal displacement and migration, both legal and illegal. But I feel like the conversation around housing and accommodation, safe and sustainable housing has not really gained as much spotlight as it should, because really when people are forced to migrate from their homeland, when they are forced to move from one place to the other, the first thing that comes to mind is how are they going to get a roof over their head? What are they going to eat? Where are they going to sleep? And even in urban cities and communities where everything looks, picturesque and clean and perfect, if you look beyond the curated realities of the cities, you will know that housing and accommodation is still an issue that faces millions of people in Nigeria. According to statistics.com, the current refugees in Nigeria is over 70,000 persons. And this figure includes children, it includes women, it includes even aged persons. And we cannot look away now. You, as a social entrepreneur and an innovator, as an architect, your work has been towards sustainable and eco-friendly housing in Europe. So can you tell us more about that? What inspired you into this very technical field, and how have you been forwarding towards making that a sustainable change?
Yeah, absolutely. You have pointed out the very most basic strata of the society that it is a very big problem that but we as a society don't highlight this problem. But this problem is the major source of various other problems, from job opportunities, from education to sanitation. Lots of problems are directly connected with this big problem, that is housing. So back in 2019, I was involved in doing one of competition to provide housing solution for Syrian refugees in Turkey. And according to UNHCR, at that time, the registered refugee population was 70 million. And if you see the stats today, it's 89.4 million refugees that are currently registered today, according to UNHCR. And I'm talking about the registered stats with the United Nations Human Rights Commission for Refugees. And you can imagine how many could be the unregistered. You pointed out correctly, like there are the refuge crisis in Nigeria is rising. If I talk about in my country, in Assam, there are 47.4 million people are displaced currently. While we are talking, there are 47.5 million people are displaced because of floods in eastern state of India. So if we talk about several sectors of refugee, there are several layers. There could be the displacement of people due to war, due to humanitarian crisis, like currently in that is happening in Ukraine. That is currently that has happened in past years in Syria, in Palestine. When we talk about climate change, the stat is rising, and we call them climate refugees. That is particularly happening in Assam, that is happening in Tunisia, in southern part of Africa as well. And there
Yes.
is one other aspect as well that we don't talk about, that is economic refugees. In India, we have seen because of the sudden lockdown in 2020, because of COVID-19, we have seen the migration of people from cities to their villages. And we call it reverse migration because of lack of job opportunities. So, in terms of refugee, there is several aspects: economic, environmental, and humanitarian. So, but the major when the the displacement take place, the sudden major crisis happened, and the situation is the housing, and that is the big problem for not only for the refugees that are displacing, but for the government as well. How to provide them the basic necessity according to Human Rights Commission for declaration, according to Article 25, everyone has the right for standard of living. Everyone has the rights for human security, for housing solutions. So I hope I'm
Thank
audible.
you. No, you got it.
Yeah. So at that particular situation, that comes how, as an architects, as governmental agencies, how we can provide the people the housing solutions, the affordable housing solution, the emergency shelters, and there are two types of settlements as well. The emergency response shelter, that is providing them at a moment housing solutions, and after some time, like currently in Ukraine, the displacement is going on. So at that moment, we have to provide them settlements for up to 1 year or 2 year. So there are different aspects that that is involved in the housing solution. And so yes, you pointed out this is a very major problem, and it is not just the housing is not just one problem that is connected. Several other varies sustainable development goals oriented problems are also connected with them. How sanitation, education, the job opportunities of the refugees, and so that is the major case. And yes, I'm working on it with the I'm working on to provide housing solutions. Like I initiated this project as a quarantine shelter in COVID-19 pandemic, and as the COVID-19 lessened down, I saw that the housing solution, the same innovative strategies for the quarantine shelters are very effectively utilized in housing solutions, because we need cost efficient housing, time efficient, prefab, temporary structures, and it's a need of an R solution. So that's how collectively I am consistently working on the research and development of the solutions, providing the contextual oriented solutions. Yes, and I was also associated recently. I was in the past months, I was in Germany as well and working in the housing solutions. I will tell you in afterwards.
Thank you so much. So I think that is very important because I like that you broke down the types of refugees. We have, climate refugees, for example. Refugee solutions is not only created via war. Currently, according to the recent BRAC, the social enterprise organization in Bangladesh, the current flooding and erosion in BRAC is displacing a lot of people of their home, and this is a climate-oriented refugee situation, and also the economic refugee because really, working opportunities, employment opportunities is dwindling, whereas the population is increasing, so there are fewer openings and there are so many people competing for the few openings, so it's a question of high competition for fewer resources. And then let's talk about the war and the insurgency and the unrest. This is also another part in ways that refugee situation can be created. But then we must also realize that refugee situations is not particular to a group. When we talk about it, a lot of people think of third world nations first or nations in the global south. Whereas it's not particular to a geographic location. People in first world countries can find themselves in refugee situations, displacement situations. And it shows that we are all sitting on a time bomb if we are not careful, if we are not collaborative enough to come up with solutions to solve not just the present problems, but then problems that could, come up in the future. And this brings me to my next question. Now, I believe in the power of collaborative efforts, just like the 17th UN SDG goal, which talked about partnerships. I know that passion, a heart for change, with a combination of physical, human, and financial resources is what is needed to make the goal happen. And we also need the government, stakeholders, parastatals, organizations that are, that have housing solutions as a for-profit, who can also pitch in as a form of corporate social responsibility. Now, my question for you is, young people like yourself are already leading the change. You are leveraging on research, you are leveraging on community to bring about change as to the housing issue. So, in what ways do you think government, stakeholders, and other active key players can collaborate with young people to ensure that we have sustainable solution that is also replicable globally?
Absolutely, absolutely. So this whole refugee crisis domain is a business to government domain. Like it involves the collaboration from governmental agencies like government of Turkey, government of Nigeria, to multilateral bodies like UNDP, UNHCR, and international agencies like Danish Refugee Council and Norwegian Refugee Council. And there is, so the collaboration is the basic, as you told me, that SDG 17 partnership for the goals. We, we are grassroots innovators, we are architects, we have solutions, the solutions that are not only can be standardized but can also oriented towards contextual problem solving solutions. Like if we try to build housing solutions in Nigeria, in southern countries, how we can incorporate the local materials, how we can incorporate the local people. Like I was involved, I was giving consultancy in one of the project in Tanzania, and the people are asking me for the housing solutions, and I gave them my solutions, my drawings. And when after giving my drawings, I came to know that people don't know how to make it. You see, people don't have knowledge how to make it. So that comes the major loop. Carefully, space era cannot be everywhere, right? So there is need for knowledge, the knowledge at the grassroots levels, that how, like, if we want to replicate these kinds of solutions and we want to have the economic stability in the societies,
how we can provide the contextual knowledge, the very basic knowledge to the grassroots people, to the villagers, that not only helps them to build the housing solutions by themselves, that also creates job opportunities for the people, that also incorporates the local vernacular materials that is available in their habitat. That is a pure level of sustainability, that we call it circular economy. You understand, the vision of circular economy
Yes.
is involving people, ensuring the social stability of them, ensuring the
Mhm.
economic prosperity of them, and ensuring the environmental neutrality, carbon neutrality within their design
Yeah.
strategies. So the vision is very important. And this vision comes by two things. First is awareing the problem, the upcoming problems. The upcoming problems are very huge. You don't know. And we all are directly, indirectly connected with that. Either if you are living in, you told it very perfectly, that we are in a we are the time is running and we are lack of time. Either you are in India, in Delhi, we are having 45 degrees Celsius temperature. In Ukraine, the people are dying, people are moving. In 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 eastern part of Africa, people are dying because of food. So the time is running. Someone is affected by weather. Someone is affected by humanitarian crisis. Someone is affected by economic crisis. So the involvement of people in these kinds of big humanitarian problems is very important. And that is my message to the multilateral bodies, that don't that these first of all focus upon these big problems. The housing is not only solving the housing crisis of the direct refugees, but also creating job opportunities for them if we involve them by creating their own houses, if we involve them building of in the solution building, in to make contextual oriented solutions. Ask them what they need, when they sleep, when they eat, when they go out, how many families they have, how if for example if a refugee, if his or her family got died, he is orphanage, he has to be adopted by someone, and someone cannot adopt him because his house is so small. It doesn't have the capacity to have him. So these kinds of grassroots problems can only be told by the refugees. So here comes the partnership, here comes the collaboration, that the multilateral bodies, when executing these kinds of problems, when executing these kinds of solutions, involve people like us, the innovators, the architects. We can provide you the innovative and sustainable circular economy strategies. Involve the direct refugees, the direct users, the direct livers,
Mhm.
involve them. They will provide you the basic uh, solution that is very small but makes very effective solutions for their living. Involve the local people to in the building of the solutions. Involve the local materials like, for example, sand, mud, clay is very efficient in East Africa, whereas corrugated sheets or wood is effective in Turkey or in oriented countries. So involve the local materials, and this kind of involvement of human resource, of people, of local materials comes with the collaboration, a big kind of collaboration from multilateral, from innovators, architects, from people, from material. Here comes, that is the major core, that these kinds of big problems can be tackled, can be utilized. We can make we can make region oriented solutions with these kinds of process by involvement of all the stakeholders, shareholders that are directly indirectly affected by the refugee crisis. Yes.
Thank you so much. So I hear you. I hear we need to use local solutions to solve these global problems. I also hear that we need to create an environment that supports users, like that gets the input and the opinions of the communities that we use this. And this is how we, not only build sustainable housing solutions, but also ensure that economic empowerment is a reality. Thank you so much, Kefali. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to everybody who joined us on this episode. Sustainable action, it needs collaborative efforts so that everybody, irrespective of geographical location or geographical differences, can come together and innovate. And then when we have a solution, we see that it is replicable. We can use it in Nigeria, we can use it in India, in Germany, in Turkey, basically every part of the world. And so this is why it is important to give a platform to student voices, because I believe young people can and will change the world. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
once again. I
Thank
am
you.
Oluwadamilola Akintewe, and this is Check.org Student Voice Series.
Thank
Bye. Bye, everyone.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.